I will call Trump right out for this one because, like, you can't raise the defense budget to $1 trillion before you get our budget balanced. I mean, my God, if there's something that should be a bipartisan issue in the entire existence of the world, it should be the fact that the Pentagon wastes a shit ton of money. Like, it really went under the radar, but I've been following it for the past year or two. Bipartisan effort to stop price gouging the Pentagon. Defense contractors, it's like down to 4 of them now. There was like 200 of them in the 90s. Then they get consolidated after the defense spending gets cut after the Soviet Union falls. So, shrinks down to like 4 giant ones. And they price gouge the shit out of the Pentagon. All right. So why are we talking about raising the defense budget, which is already bigger than it needs to be because we're wasting a lot of that money? Why are we talking about raising it to $1 trillion, Trump? You talked about being the candidate of peace. So why do we need $1 trillion budget if you're the candidate of peace? And if we know that the Pentagon wastes more money than anybody, and you got Doge that's supposed to be fixing things like this, I don't want to hear a single thing about the Pentagon spending more money until we know that we're getting a good return on what we're spending. So I'll show you that in a second, but it's from April 8th. President Donald Trump this week unveiled plans for $1 trillion defense budget next year, a massive increase that he claimed will provide the country with unmatched military strength for years to come. During a press event, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, Trump offered the outline for the total defense spending in fiscal year 2026 budget as part of his larger plans for the U.S. national security. Quote, we're going to be approving a budget, and I'm proud to say, actually, the biggest one we've ever done for the military. He said, $1 trillion. Nobody has ever seen anything like that. Yeah, and we don't fucking want anything like that, Trump, because we know we get ripped off by it already. Like, fix what we have already before you even start to think about something like this. We're getting a very powerful military. We have things under now. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm 12% increase. I'm not even gonna keep on this one. I'm gonna show you why this is bullshit in the first place. From 2023, how the Pentagon falls victim to price gouging by military contractors. All right. Military contractors overcharge the Pentagon on almost everything the Department of Defense buys each year. Experts told 60 Minutes over the course of a 6-month investigation into price gouging. In March, Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks announced the largest Pentagon budget ever, $842 billion. Almost half will go to defense contractors. Retired Air Force Lieutenant General Chris Bogdan, who spent his career overseeing the purchase of some of the country's most critical weapon systems, said that there's an inherent conflict between the Pentagon and defense contractors. They are companies that have to survive, make profit. The Department of Defense, on the other hand, wants the best weapon system it can have as quickly as possible and as inexpensively as possible. Those are opposite ends of the spectrum. Perhaps no one understands this problem better than Shay Assad, now retired after 4 decades of negotiating weapons deals in the 1990s. He was executive vice president and chief contract negotiator for defense giant Raytheon. Then he switched sides and rose to become the Department of Defense's most senior and awarded contract negotiator. He puts former colleagues in the defense industry under intense scrutiny. They need to be held accountable, he said, no matter what, no matter who they are, no matter what company it is, they need to be held accountable. And right now, the accountability system is broken in the Department of Defense. All right. So again, this is a bipartisan issue. It wasn't always like this, he said. The roots of the problem can be traced back to 1993, when the Pentagon, looking to reduce costs, urged defense companies to merge, and 51 major contractors consolidated into 5 giants. The landscape has totally changed, Assad said. In the 80s, there was intense competition amongst a number of companies, and so the government had choices. They had leverage. We have limited leverage now. The problem was compounded in the early 2000s when the Pentagon, in another cost-saving move, cut 130,000 employees whose jobs were to negotiate, oversee defense contracts. Beautiful. They were convinced that they could rely on the companies to do what was in the best interest of the warfighters and the taxpayers, Assad said. There's no way that's true. They're getting kickbacks. I mean, come on. The Pentagon granted companies unprecedented leeway to monitor themselves. Instead of saving money, Assad said, the price of almost everything began to rise. Shocking. In the competitive environment before the companies consolidated, the shoulder-fired Stinger missile cost $25,000 in 1991. With Raytheon, Assad's former employee, now the sole supplier, it costs more than $400,000 to replace each missile sent to Ukraine. Even accounting for inflation, some improvements, that's a 7-fold increase. the total fucking opposite of what's supposed to happen with the natural law of economics. Like, you're supposed to be able to make things cheaper as time goes by and as the technology gets better. Like, there's a reason that flat screen TVs were $10,000 when they first came out. And today you get them for $400 because it gets cheaper to make things over time. This is like the total freaking inverse of that. So again, Trump, I know you understand this. So why are you doing this? Who's telling you to spend $1 trillion in defense? Why haven't we heard a peep about you making the Pentagon more efficient? That might be the most outrageous thing out of all of this. So in the competitive environment before, the companies consolidated shoulder fires. Yep, I read that already. Army negotiators caught Raytheon making what they called an unacceptable profits from the Patriot missile defense system by dramatically exaggerating the costs and hours it took to build the radar and ground equipment. Yeah, they do this thing called cost plus contracts where they get the contract and then they just add a plus to it for whatever extra it costs, like in between the time of the agreement and after. I mean, how sweet is that? The company told 60 Minutes it's working to equitably resolve the matter. 2021 CEO Gregory Hayes informed investors that the company would set aside $290 million for probable liability. A Pentagon study released last month found major contractors flush with cash beyond their needs for operations or investment. They have tens of billions in excess cash from the Pentagon business to hand out to shareholders. We have to have a financially healthy defense industrial base. We all want that, Assad said, but what we don't want is get taken advantage of and hoodwinked. In 2015, Assad ordered a review of Army negotiators discovered Lockheed Martin and its subcontractor Boeing were grossly overcharging the Pentagon and U.S. allies by hundreds of millions of dollars for the Patriot 3 missiles. Pentagon analysts found the total profits approached 40%. Boeing declined to comment, but Lockheed said, quote, "We negotiate with the government in good faith on all our programs." After the review, the Pentagon negotiated a new contract with Lockheed, saving American taxpayers $550 million. Bogdan pointed to another Lockheed Martin contract with the problems. In 2012, he was tapped to take the reins on the troubled F-35 Joint Strike Fighter program. It was 7 years behind schedule and $90 billion over the original estimate. Bogdan said the biggest costs are yet to come for support and maintenance, which could end up costing taxpayers $1.3 trillion. The Pentagon had ceded control of the program to Lockheed Martin. The contractors delivering the aircraft to the Pentagon paid to design and build. But under the contract, Lockheed and its suppliers retained control of the design and repair data, proprietary information needed to fix and upgrade the plane. The weapon system belongs to the department, but the data underlying the design of the airplane does not, Bogdan said. When a part breaks, the Department of Defense can't fix or replace it itself. That's likely to come from a subcontractor like TransDigm, a fast-growing company led by Nick Hawley, has made a fortune taking over companies that make spare parts for the military. Last year, Hawley was called before Congress a second time over accusations of price gouging. Assad review team found the government will pay TransDigm $119 million for parts that should cost $28 million. So I could go on and on, but you get the point. You get the point. And there's literally a bipartisan initiative for this. And look at this from February 2025. Hegseth orders 8% cut to Pentagon budget. Not so fast. Yep. Was it here that I saw? Yeah. From CBS, a bipartisan group of lawmakers is set to reintroduce a bill to rein in price gouging by military contractors. CBS News has learned. To stop price gouging, Military Act, first introduced by Elizabeth Warren and Republican John Raymond Garamendi. Yep. So don't need to get into all that, but let's see. In 2020, Pentagon Office of Inspector General reported that roughly 20% of its ongoing investigations related to procurement fraud. So it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. It's rampant. And, talk about saving money. I'd feel confident saying that probably an estimated, I don't know, like 30% of our Pentagon budget or of our defense budget is total waste, fraud, or abuse. Like, you ever see the bag of screws the guy holds up and he says, yeah, this bag of screws right here, this costs us $90,000. So multiply that times every single item in the Pentagon, and that's how you get $1 trillion. So very, 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 very shocked and disappointed that Trump's come out and said this. Like, it's one thing if we know that we're getting the absolute most value and like we're really negotiating the best contracts and our budget's 800 billion, 900 billion, and we have some conflicts on the horizon, might need to bump it up a little bit. 10% would even be a lot in that case. But to do no fucking audit of the Pentagon and to not cut costs in any meaningful way, and then to propose a 12% increase, get the hell out of here, dude. What are you talking about? Like, is this just a straight like demand from Netanyahu? Where's that money going to go? Like, I haven't seen anything impressive from our defense budget being so mad. Like, and I could literally show like 5 hours worth of stuff on this. Like, you've seen this chart before. U.S. versus other countries' defense budget. And let me tell you something. People say this shit about like, oh, China's military is getting strong. China's like serious now. So help me God. If we do this and anybody's anywhere near being close to us, like, we should never pay taxes again. Because if this is the case versus this, nobody should be able to touch us. We should be able to assert our will in any way, like no matter what it is. But we know that we're funding and building a military that was equipped to fight a war 50 years ago, and that we don't need a ton of giant battleships and what is it, like military tanks and everything. We just need a shit ton of fast, nimble, what is it, like perpetual self-powering drones. Like, imagine as gay as it might sound, imagine like a fleet of solar powered drones that just like recharge themselves and like they swarm shit. Like, what's a tank gonna do against that? What's a battleship gonna do against that? Even the like F-35s, like they would have a tough time with that. And those things are cheap to build too. Like, they're building them in the freaking garages in Ukraine. So this part I'm deeply disappointed with. I don't know what the hell Trump's logic is in saying this, but let's see how it plays out. I didn't hear anybody call him out for this, which is disappointing too. So I had to come out and do it. We'll see. We'll see. But guys, again, let's be positive. Let's be happy. Could be a lot worse. There's some good amount of good going on, but still a lot of bullshit going on. So just got to stay vigilant and stand biased and be smart. So, by the way, guys, if you enjoy what I do, if you like what I do, if you want to get closer and be part of our dope book club community, go into Circles. I'm Minnect. Join the Forbidden Book Society, and you'll have yourself a real good time with me in the group. We do a lot of cool things in there. So if you enjoy what I do, jump on over there. The link's pinned in the description. No, not pinned in the description. It's in the description, and it's also in this chat right here, pinned at the top of the chat box. So